Good morning, everyone. I'm Rosemary from MSc Biology of St. Mary's College, Thrissur. So, today we are going to study about the biodiversity of India and the iron biogeography. Coming to the biodiversity of India. What is biodiversity? It is the variety and the variability of life on Earth. We know there are several levels of biodiversity. It consists of genetic variability, species diversity, and the ecosystem diversity. So, biodiversity can be different from each other in different levels, and it encompasses the evolutionary and ecological, then the cultural processes which can sustain life. So, without biodiversity, we cannot survive because biodiversity is the key which sustains the life on Earth. And there are two components which helps to identify the level or the range of biodiversity in each area. It is species richness and species evenness. These two factors help us to make the kind of level to understand the level of biodiversity in different area. Then coming to the biodiversity of India, we know just 17 of the world's 190 or so countries contain 70% of its biodiversity, earning earning them the title mega diverse. And the most interesting fact is that India is one of these mega diverse countries with 2.4% of the land area, accounting for 7 to 8% of the species of the world. So, uh, India ranks among the top 10 species rich nations in the world. So it's a great achieve, the great benefit and advantage for all of us. Then coming to its diversity level, we know India has four global biodiversity hotspots, and our area is endemic to many animals and plants. Then, the varied edaphic climatic and topographic conditions and years of geological stability have resulted in a wide range of ecosystems and habitats. And that is the reason why India can accommodate these kind of variety of areas. Then it includes numerous forests, grasslands, wetlands, deserts, coastal regions, and the marine ecosystem. So we can find out different kind of terrains in this country. And India has a geographic area of 329 mega hectare acre. Then within this 2.4% of the world's land area, as I said earlier, India accounts for about 7 to 8% of recorded species of the world. Then how we can say India is a mega diverse country, because from about 70% of the total geographical area surveyed by the Ministry of Environment and Forests in India, there are 45,500 plants and 91,000 animal species have been already described, and it's just an unknown statistics. There are several unknown species are yet to be discovered. Then the most interesting fact is that it representing about 7% of the world's flora and 6.5% of the world's fauna. Then when we analyze the statistical report of the India's number of species is in India, we can say that there are 59,353 insect species, 2,546 fish species, 240 amphibian species, then 460 reptile species, then 1,232 bird species, then 397 mammal species. And we know with only 2.4% of the total area of the world, the non-biological diversity of India contributes to about 8% to the non-global biological diversity. As I said earlier, there are 36 biological hotspots in the world, and the four are present in India, because since India is a mega diverse country, and these are the Eastern Himalaya, Indo-Burma region, Western Ghats, and Sundarbans. So, according to the terrain and several factors, since we know India has a kind of it's a country with very typical geology, then the terrain conditions, topography, land use, geographic and climatic factors. We know each and every these factors are different from each other in this in the among this country. So based on these factors, we can find out that there are 10 biogeographical zones which can describe the species diversity. And the first one is Trans-Himalayan region. So here it constitutes 5.6% of the total geographical area of India, and it includes the high altitude, cold and arid mountain areas of Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, North Sikkim, then Lahore and Spiti areas of the Himachal Pradesh. Then we know it's a home for wild sheep and goat in the world. And other than these, we can find out the snow leopard, migratory black-necked crane, and several other endemic species here. And the cold dry desert of this zone represents an extremely fragile ecosystem. Coming to the Himalayan zone, this is the second geographical zone, and it constitutes of 6.4% of the total geographical area, and we can find out the highest peaks in the world. So the Himalayan zone makes India one of the richest areas in terms of habitat and species, and the kind of species which are inhabiting here is barrel ibex, maracor, Himalayan thar, and takin. And it's a home for the endangered species like hangul and musk deer. Then coming to the Indian desert zone, it constitutes 6.6% of the total geographical area, which includes the Kutch Desert as well as the Thar Desert. So it has large expanses of grassland that supports several endangered species of mammals like wolf, caracal, desert cat, then bustard, and great Indian bustard, etc. Coming to the fourth region, that is semi-arid region. So it constitutes 6.6% of the area, and it's like a transition zone between desert and the dense forests of Western Ghats. Okay, then the semi-arid region has several artificial and natural lakes and the marshy lands. Then the species which possesses here, such as lion, caracal, jackal, wolf, and there are several endangered species are inhabiting here. Coming to the biological hotspot Western Ghats, it constitutes 4.04% of the total geographical area, and it's consists of tropical evergreen forest regions in India. And we know it's a home for several endangered species like Nilagiri langur, lion-tailed macaca, grizzled giant squirrel, Malabar civet, Nilagiri thar, and Malabar grey hornbill. And we know that Travancore tortoise and Kent turtle, these are two endangered taxes, are restricted to this area. Then coming to the sixth region, that is Deccan Plate. So Deccan Plate, India's largest biogeographic region, making 42% of the total geographical area. And the this kind of area is far by the most extensive zone covering India's finest forest. It's a wonderful characteristics of Deccan Plain because it consists of India's finest forests, and the majority of these forests are deciduous in nature, and the kind of wildlife species which are possessing here are elephant, cheetal, sambar, nilgai, barking deer, and those kind of carnivore species are present here. Then coming to the Gangetic Plain, these Gangetic Plain constitutes 10.8% of the total geographical area, and it is topographically homogeneous for hundreds of kilometers. Then the fauna include here rhino, elephant, buffalo, swamp deer, honk deer, and hisbit here, and several other endangered species. Coming to the eighth region, that is the northeast region. Here it constitutes 5.2% of the geographical area, and it's like a region between transition zone between the Indian, Indo-Malayan, and Indo-Chinese biogeographical region. Okay, so here the meeting point of the Himalayan mountains and peninsular India is the northeast region. So we can call it as a biogeographical gateway for much of India's fauna and flora. Then many of the species contributing to this diversity are either restricted to the region itself or the smaller localized areas of the Khasi Hills. Then coming to the second last region, that is coastal region. We have 7,500 kilometers coastal region in length. So it constitutes 2.5% of the total geographical area, which includes the mangroves, mudflats, sandy beaches, coral reefs, then marine angiosperms, and we can find out the marine diversity here. And uh, it's a home for several marine species. Then coming to the last region, that is Andaman Nicobar Islands, it constitutes 0.3% of the total geographical area, and we know, the one of the three tropical moist evergreen forest zones in India is Andaman Nicobar Islands, and these islands are centers of the high endemism, and it supports a wide variety of corals. Then in India, endemic island biodiversity is found only in these islands. Okay, so these are the 10 biogeographical zones in India, which regarded as the soul of the biodiversity area, and among these four are bio hotspots. Then coming to the island biogeography. So what is island biogeography? The island biogeography, or insular biogeography, is field within biogeography that examines the factors that affect the species richness and diversification of isolated natural communities. So here the theory was originally developed to explain pattern of the species area relationship occurring only in oceanic islands, and under either name, if it is now used in reference to any ecosystem, like we can consider lake as a island, or a continental islands are there. So it's not just oceanic island, there are several concept which includes in the island area. So that is isolated due to being surrounded by unlike ecosystem. So as I said earlier, the mountain peaks, sea mounts, oases, fragmented forests, and the even natural habitat is isolated by human land development. All these things are regarded as the island area. So the field was started in 1960s by the ecologist Robert H. MacArthur and E.O. Wilson, and those are the people who coined the term island biogeography. And coming to the island biogeography, uh, there are two factors which affects the species richness of island area, that is the area of island. The thing is that we can find out more species or species richness in larger area rather than in the smaller island. So here we can see the number of bird species in the Caribbean island. So here we can find out that the number of bird species are higher in the larger islands rather than the smaller islands. So on islands and habitat pages on continents, the species richness increases with area and decreases with isolation. So here we can clearly see the kind of difference of the species richness in larger area and larger island and smaller island. Here we can find out the mountain islands. The number of mountain mammal species increases as the area of available habitat increases. And coming to the lake, there is no, we can never say that oceanic islands are the islands. There are several islands considered as islands, that is lakes. Lakes are islands because they are surrounded by terrestrial area and separated from the main source, that's like the ocean. So here we can say that as on other island, the number of species increases with the lake area. So when the area increases, then the species richness, species evenness gradually increases. Then coming to the island isolation and species richness, we know islands are mainly separated from a mainland. Okay, so these mainland, the distance between these mainland is influences the species richness. Here we can say that the islands near New Guinea supports more bird species than those farther away. So in near islands we can find out more species richness, and the far islands we can find out less species richness. So there is a negative relationship between the isolation of an island and the number of species it supports. The distance between the mainland and the island influences here. So here we can say that the habitat islands or continents, the number of mountain mammal species declines with increasing distance from the source of potential colonies. Okay, and the next factor we have to study is the theory of island biogeography. What is theory of island biogeography? The species richness on islands can be modeled as dynamic balance between immigration and the extension of species. So as I said earlier, these two scientists who are Wilson and MacArthur, they are the people who proposed the term island biogeography, and they also proposed a model that explained the patterns of species diversity on islands as the result of balance between rates of immigration and extinction. So this model is called the equilibrium model of island biogeography. See here we can say see the equilibrium model of island biogeography. So what we have to find out that according to the equilibrium model of island biogeography, the number of species is on island is determined by a balance between species immigration and extinction. So these two terms, immigration and extinction, we should understand these two terms clearly. Immigration means the number of species that are reaching into an island area, and extinction means the number of the kind of movement of uh, species from the island to the another area. So it's the movement outward is extinction, and movement to inward island is immigration. So from these graphs we can find out that the rate of immigration of new species to an island decreases as the number of species on the island increases, and in the same way the rate of species extinction on the island increases as the number of species present in increases. So there is a equilibrium area, both the rate of immigration and the extinction of species are equal. So here we can find out the equilibrium area, but if there is any change to these rates, then the movement of species will occur accordingly. So this is what MacArthur and Wilson says about uh, the equilibrium model of island biogeography. So these are all about the biodiversity of India and the island biogeography. So for the further studies, we can refer the book Biodiversity Profile of India by Balasubramanian, and the Ecology Concept and Application by Manuel C. Bolts Jr. and Anna Sher Simon. So thank you for the your support, and hope you all understand this session. Thank you.